Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing, nonprofit, educational, or personal use, tips a balance in favor of fair use. Okay, guys, more reviews from Nathan Rich's book. It's a bit confusing trying to page through the reviews, but I know I didn't read Stephen J. Friedel. So here we go. Another 5-star review. Stephen J. Friedel. Compelling story I could not put down. And that was dated September 19th, 2018. I've read pretty much every book out there about Scientology, and this is the only one I've read in one sitting. Nathan's story is incredibly compelling, though it won't give you any insights into the functioning. Wait a minute, I know I read this. Hold on. Okay, maybe not. I'm sorry, guys. Nathan's story is incredibly compelling, and though it won't give you any insights into the functioning of the higher-ups of the church, like prestigious executives, there are plenty of other books for that. This is the story of a young man who was born into and grew up in Scientology. Born into and grew up in Scientology. A child. And who was utterly failed by his church, and heartbreakingly, by his own mother. Being sent off twice to abusive Scientology youth ranches, where he learned all the wrong things except how to think well on his feet, obviously. Getting sucked into the kind of street drug culture that's unfamiliar to most of us, but astoundingly pulling himself out. Holy crap. I was surprised to find the story of an ordinary Scientologist pull me and move me so strongly. What kind of church or mother treats a kid this way? Seriously. That's a good question. And though many books by former Scientologists see their story watered down by poor writing and or lousy book production, this is not one of them. It's easily up to the quality of Scientology books by professional journalists. Okay, I'm just reading you guys, such as Tony Ortega or Steve Cunnane. The wonderful, almost lyric writing kept me turning virtual pages until I hit the end. The combination of captivating story, stellar writing, and excellent book formatting production made this a treat to read. Nancy G. Another 5-star review. Heartbreaking and inspiring. Impressive, man. This is reviewed October 6, 2018. I read this book in one sitting and will read it again. There is so much there to digest. Nathan's life story, as told by him, is at times heartbreaking, infuriating, and ultimately one of the most impressive success stories out there. It's also told in a brutally honest way, mistakes, downfalls, and all. The book is so well written that the immense darkness and loneliness are palpable. Some people Nathan loved very much do not come out looking good, but it provides understanding of the enormity of the hurt that was caused, and the origin of it all. A devout Scientology mother in family and Nathan's intelligence that could not submit to it. It's heartbreaking to read the hurt he went through because of the belief system, the self-medicating he did for years, the family he tried to create for himself, and the losses he suffered, and the road he traveled and describes in this book so eloquently leads ultimately to professional and personal success for this very special person. His story deserves to be made into a movie for more to see. It's simply inspiring. Yes. Nathan has done several interviews on YouTube. Highly recommended are his conversations with Aaron Smith-Levin, growing up in Scientology, and Chris Shelton, Sensibly Speaking podcast. Just as with this book, you will come away with admiration for Nathan and hurt from what he went through. I am sure he has more books in him, more in-depth insights into drug use and recovery. Others could be helped, as he has seen the depths and lived to tell about it. Scientology beliefs. How does a Scientology believer get into LSD in the first place? His Scientology evolution and recovery, different from execs who walked away. Good observation. Traveling the world alone, the psychological recovery from his experiences. I would read them all. If you read this, Nathan, much respect to you. You made your luck despite it all. I wish you all the best and hope you continue to recover. I also hope you can feel the support of your readers. Thank you for opening up to us. Amazon customer, verified purchase, 5-star review. Fair game that, Scientology. A gripping roller coaster ride of a true story. This was dated October 26, 2018. Nathan's compelling and autobiographical story pulls at the heartstrings while pulling no punches. From his impoverished yet semi-stable early childhood to his de facto internment at various Scientology camps, in adolescence to his drug addiction, homelessness, and final recovery and attainment of a normal life. His is a story that encapsulates the highest of highs, pun not intended, and the lowest of lows. What impressed me the most about Scythe Tleppo was the intellectual honesty and emotional maturity with which Mr. Rich broaches his topics. He writes to his credit and to our benefit, without malice towards his family or against those who have harmed him. His discussions of homelessness and drug addiction and of being abandoned by those who should have loved and protected him the most are brutally candid, yet lack a moralistic or self-aggrandizing agenda. In his world, there are no heroes or even villains, at least insofar as the book's commentary goes. Only players that move the story along. The reader will doubtless form opinions of his or her own. The characters are quite compelling. Additionally, and as already stated, this is an emotionally gripping book. Mr. Rich's terse prose evokes a rare ability to pull the reader into the story, seeing things as he sees them and experiencing them as he feels them. There is no wall between himself and his prose. When reading his work, I often felt I was seeing the book unfold as a movie in my mind, as opposed to words on pages, which to me is the very definition of an excellent read. I wish Mr. Rich all the best in his future literary endeavors, and I beseech him, do not stop. This book is incredibly powerful, and I cannot wait to read his next effort. Five-star review, Nancy Meny. Heartbreaking yet inspirational. Dated October 13th, 2018. It has taken me a while to write this. Nathan's journey has haunted me. Without giving much away, his childhood was a living hell. His parents were Scientology true believers, and this allowed them to put Nathan through unspeakable trauma and abuse. Scientology has a belief that children are simply adults in small bodies. Children are totally responsible for their lives and actions. While I never subscribed to that point of view, I had a child during the time Nathan was also a child. I remember being lectured while under guard in their slave labor camp that it was beyond okay to leave my 2.5-year-old son alone in Los Angeles. He was a Thetan and did not require parental supervision. The woman telling me this went on to explain that her 3-year-old got into poisons under the kitchen sink, but her child knew better, because the child was an immortal spiritual being. My husband and I escaped that labor camp and found our son the next morning, never to leave him in the hands of Scientologists again. You hear that, Scientology parents? They escaped. They got their child out. But what are the children left behind? While I was taking care of my child, children like Nathan were left in the disgusting cesspool of Scientology abuse. I never connected those dots until I read Nathan's harrowing account growing up under the umbrella of Scientology. Of course, once Nathan was of age, he was again left to fend for himself and found himself in another cesspool, that of America's growing homelessness and drug addiction. They say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I don't know if that's true or not, but it certainly seems to be in Nathan's case. Despite the deaths of other Scientology youth through suicide, Nathan escaped that ending. Despite the deaths daily of America's youth to drug abuse and homelessness. That's a plan, by the way. Nathan escaped that ending. He is still standing. He is living a good life. I hope he is enjoying it. And instead of just moving on, he decided to dig deep and go back to these horrific periods of his life and share them with the world. He chose to speak, not just for himself and all the injustice done to him, but also for those who didn't make it out alive. Well, it gives me goosebumps. Nathan is my new superhero. Read this book and he may become yours as well. Another 5-star rating, Richard A. Pyle. A powerful and inspiring book. Dated October 8th, 2018. I thought I'd be reading just another book about someone's life in Scientology when I downloaded this book. Downloaded. I've read over a dozen such books over the past few years. I've seen Nathan spot on Leah Remini's series, Scientology, The Aftermath, as well as his videos with Aaron Smith-Levin, an ex-Sea Org member. However, what I ended up reading in Scythe Tleppo was so much more than just another Scientology memoir. Seldom in my life have I been confronted with a story so emotionally charged that I was forced to read it in numerous segments. The pain, loss, neglect, abandonment, and suffering he experienced growing up in the shadow of the cult of Scientology was almost too much to bear at times. There are children still in right now, you guys. The child of a single mother immersed in Scientology, he was forced to participate in prying auditing sessions. Children auditing, children auditing. In various courses offered at substantial cost, feeling lonely and isolated, Nathan struggled in school and made few friends. Eventually his mother shunned or disconnected from him. Wonder how old he was. Shipping him off to Scientology-sponsored camps, where Nathan and the other children were abused and forced to live under a draconian Scientology rule. At 18, he finally won his freedom, only to descend into an underworld of homelessness and drug addiction. Isn't that sad? Like absolutely no one was there for him. No one. However, the agony and degradation Nathan experienced and ultimately triumphed over will no doubt inspire many to take charge over their lives and move forward in spite of the obstacles placed before them. If Mr. Rich could overcome the monumentally bad cards he was dealt as a child and young man and still come out with a winning hand, I believe we all still have a chance at redemption. Ron B., verified purchase, gripping story, dated October 29th, 2018. This book is an amazing account of Nathan's journey from Scientology to homelessness to becoming a successful citizen. I've had the pleasure of meeting Nathan in person, and reading his book reveals so much about his past and how much he had to overcome. I recommend this book to everyone. It's not just an insight into Scientology indoctrination, but also an interesting story of a man exploring who he is and how he can become the man he wants to be. Amazon customer, 5 stars, verified purchase. Amazing story, tightly written, note, triggers abound. That was dated October 31st, 2018. Highly recommend Scythe Tleppo. Is engaging and enraging. A true story written in a concisely eloquent manner. It follows Mr. Rich's journey through childhood and into adulthood in a family of rabid Scientologists. His description of how he felt abandoned at the abusive school camp, which is still open, by the way, are heart-wrenching and terrifying. Brutally honest and unapologetic, the reader still ends up rooting for this guy as his story unfolds. Explaining his reasons and reasoning, the reader gets an amazing view of lifestyles that many never see. Street kids, homelessness, extreme, truly extreme drug use, an abusive family, the heart beneath what most of us try to ignore, is clearly explained. Note, trigger warnings for child abuse, mental and physical, drug, alcohol use, suicide, overdose, mental illness. Praise is also due to the artist for the amazing chapter header illustrations. It's a fast read, but I had to stop from time to time just to process. I'm pretty sure I read that one. I don't know how to keep track of these reviews. So I'll just stop it there, and maybe I'll just do one review at a time so I can keep track. Somehow they get all mixed in again, and there's no way to sort them. So I'll leave the link in the description box. Like and subscribe if you choose. Otherwise, have an amazing day or night wherever you are. Peace.